And this is Bloomberg Business Week, broadcasting live on Bloomberg Radio and Bloomberg Television. Carol Master along with Romaine Bostick. And Romaine, I have to tell you that Jason Kelly and I like to wrap up our week with a little bit of bubbly or a wine or a spirit. And, you know, this is the season, New Year's, everybody talks about champagne, but what about bringing in the new year with a little bit of wine?
I concur. You know, when they asked me to fill in for Jason, I said, "Will there be wine?" They said, "Actually, yes."
You were like, "I'm on board." Well, SamKass is Director of Portfolio Management for Winebow, and he joins us here because he's got some thoughts when it comes to pairing wines for your New Year's celebration. Everybody always talks about champagne, but there are so many great choices out there when it comes to wine.
Well, the great thing about the world of wine is that the choices are practically unlimited, and sometimes you can ring in the new year or any celebration with a little wine or with a lot of wine.
Right.
And that's what makes it fun, all the different combinations you can take. We chose to look across the Alps. So we talked about taking a different approach from champagne. We're going across the Alps in Europe, south, where it's a little bit warmer, to Italy. And specifically in Italy, we're going to Tuscany. And the reason that we're doing this is because not everyone wants to drink sparkling wine all evening long. Some people who I know actually don't react well to the bubbles. And others like to draw out the evening, have something with a meal, and then culminate with a champagne pop at the end of the night.
What I love about our conversations, Romaine, is that, you know, you keep reminding us that you don't have to spend a ton of money to have a really great bottle of wine. Talk to us, because you gave us a variety. Some of these are a little bit more, one is more expensive, but tell us what you brought.
Absolutely. So I brought a range of wines tonight, again, all from Tuscany, covering different price points from $20 to $250 a bottle. And the reason for that is because, like you said, you don't have to spend a lot to have a great bottle of wine.
Right.
But this is New Year's, this is the ringing in of a new decade, and it's an opportunity to really splurge a little bit, treat yourself, treat the people you care about.
So tell us what we've got here.
We've got three wines. We've got a white from an area in central Tuscany called Montecucco. This is a Vermentino, and what's most important about it is it's a leader, or the winery is a leader for the production of this grape in this part of Italy.
So, Romaine, this is where you can join in.
Oh, that's all I was waiting for. I just let you do the talking. I'll do the drinking.
So this is an organically farmed wine. Vermentino is a wonderful, unique Mediterranean grape variety, and this is $20 a bottle, yet it gives you plenty of complexity, really minerality on the finish, lots of salt.
Pair it with a lot of different things.
You can pair this. You pair this with oysters. Pair this with salmon blini. Pair this with all the kinds of things that you would lead into a sumptuous New Year's meal with. And then going through the rest of the lineup, we've got a red wine from the Tuscan coast. And the reason that I picked this is because one of my favorite winemaker quotes from Tuscany is that wine loves the breath of the sea. And this wine comes from an area called Bolgheri, where you get that effect probably more than anywhere else in Italy. Bolgheri is a coastal outpost about 2 hours from Siena.
Right.
By car. And here we're looking at a benchmark winery because it was the second to pop up in this area that's now given birth to countless well-known, highly rated Super Tuscan wines, which this is.
Is that this glass?
That is that glass. That is the lower glass. So this is a blend of red grape varieties. So you hear about red blends frequently in the wine media, the wine press. They're popular.
That's an easy wine, right?
It's easy in its youth.
Full.
It's full, it's fleshy, it's robust. This is coming,
So what's giving it the flavor there? I mean, you say it's by the sea. Is that just the combination?
Yeah, well, it's a combination of a lot of things. So it's been compared, this area, as Italy's Napa Valley because of the quality of sunshine that it receives throughout the growing season. It's close to the sea. That light that's hitting the Mediterranean actually reflects up into the hills. So you get tons of ripeness here with a huge or robust tannin structure that also plays well with the acid and with the ripeness.
You like the Italian wines.
I love
We've
the Italian
talked a lot
wines.
about it, and he's brought in a lot to kind of share with us and educate us about.
What do you eat? What do you eat with this, or what would you pair?
With this one, I would go with steak. I would go with anything on the grill, particularly steak. And particularly in Tuscany, we're talking about the bistecca alla fiorentina, which is a T-bone cut of steak, cooked over the coals until it's very rare. Maybe garnished. Has some heft to it, maybe garnished with a little bit of rosemary and olive oil, and it is spectacular. And again, so this is a blended wine. This is Cabernet Sauvignon Merlot, which are not typical Italian varieties. And that's what this area has made Bolgheri, the town, famous for.
A lamb roast would go.
Lamb works.
Yeah.
And unlike most wines, those super Tuscans from this area, this wine also contains Sangiovese, which is Tuscany's central grape, but not typically planted in this part of Tuscany.
That is a blend. So the white here is about $20 a bottle, correct? And this red that you just talked about?
The red from Grattamacco. This is Grattamacco Superiore, which is one of the most important wines from coastal Tuscany. It's $100 per bottle, which for one of the most highly rated wines in Italy is actually a tremendous value.
And then talk to us about the third one.
And then finally,
another red. I love my reds.
So going up the ladder, this is really when you get into a collector item kind of wine.
Okay.
So we wanted to bring something that was really going to wow everybody. We wanted to give a chance to taste something really special. This wine is called Brunello di Montalcino from a winery called Poggio di Sotto. Brunello di Montalcino is already an appellation that's known as one of the pinnacles of Italian winemaking. It's based 100% on the Sangiovese grape, something indigenous to Italy and to Tuscany in particular. And what's special about Sangiovese, like good Pinot Noir, is the fact that it translates very small nuances in soil and climate conditions and in winemaking style and approach that allow you to have wines grown within meters from one another that are worlds apart. And what's special about this one is the world that it represents. It's unlike any other Brunello, and it historically has shown like unlike any other Brunello. So ringing in a new decade, giving a gift, buying something to lay down, this is the kind of wine that you want.
But I'd love to learn about the growing, because you said tiny plot of land, it's a tiny plot of land, and it's limited quantities, right? And you talked about how they're able to kind of grow things next to one another, but they have very distinct tastes, and the wine is very different.
Yes, absolutely. So this wine, so if you look at Montalcino, the area where the wines are produced as a circle, and you divide it into 4 quadrants, this is approaching the southeastern part of the appellation. It's an area that is fairly highly elevated. It gets a lot of sunshine, typically produces wines that are very broad-shouldered and robust and big in terms of body and weight on the palate. The uniqueness of this wine comes from the fact that there are 3 plots at 3 different altitudes contributing to it. Over 120 different biotypes of the same Sangiovese varietal growing in these 3 different plots that are blended very carefully.
So a lot going on.
A lot going on.
So Sam, for those of us, if we were trying to pick out this on our own, we don't have you. I know Carol probably has you on speed dial, so she can just call you up when she wants. But when we're going into the store, I mean, should we be looking for at the vineyards where these are produced, or the regions, or the grape? What do we go for?
Absolutely. So these wines are produced in accordance with traditions that date back really centuries, and they've all been codified as of the late 1960s to preserve the tradition of areas. That's what's special about them. They speak to the place that they come from. So if you like this style of wine, this one in particular is unique and irreplicable. But if you like the style, you will probably like other wines from the same area. So look for the area. It's not so much about the grape variety, it's about the soul of the place they come from.
What are you going to be drinking for New Year's?
I'm going to be drinking, well, some of these and a little bit of champagne.
A little bit of champagne.
You have to have a little.
And if you pick a champagne, what do you pick?
Oh, that's a loaded question. That is a loaded question. Going off the record, I love the producer, Pierre Peters.
You're on the record.
No one's
You're
listening.
on a broadcast.
Well, no one's listening. It's Friday.
Listen, this was really fun, and I do love, because you keep bringing us different types of brands and different price points, and it's really fascinating to see. Sam, thank you so much. Have a great holiday. Happy New Year.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And just for anyone who's interested in finding these wines, you can find them at Where to Buy at Winebow.
All right, we got to run. SamKass, Director of Portfolio Management for Winebow. Check it out. Romaine, this has been a lot of fun doing this
Carol,
for both radio and TV.
Happy New Year to you.
Yeah.
And we'll do it again. Bring more wine.
Happy New Year to everybody.